Hi, David Chapman back again. I just want to have a few words to say about Chapter 1. In Chapter 1, Property Management, we start to talk about the fundamentals of property management. Right away, we give an overview of the industry with the primary functions of the property manager. And the book will tell you, and I would concur, that there are three primary functions of the property manager. The first one is to achieve the objectives of the owner. That is always the primary function, is to achieve the objectives of the owner. Now, like most sales processes, we don't know this unless we have the ability and we take the time to interview and to understand what the objectives of the owners are, what their needs are, if you will. Why is it that they invest in real estate? I'll tell you from my experience, I feel like there are several reasons why somebody invests in real estate. The first one is income. Uh, Basically, income would be the differences in the rent and our expenses. So those that will generally be something that an owner will be trying to find and trying to get is income, but not always. That may not be their primary objective. A second one uh, may be um, appreciation. So they might not be that concerned with current income, but they are concerned with keeping the property up, maintaining the property so that they can get an investment or get their money back in the way of appreciation later. So appreciation, as by definition, is the increase in value that is not because of the management. It's just because of time in market or holding period in which the value of the property increases. So that's appreciation. So they might be looking for income and they might be looking for appreciation. A third one is not talked about much, but it's called value gain. Value gain is uh, the value that we get over time because of the two parts of the payment. You have the interest and you have the principal. As you know, over time, the principal will increase. The amount of that payment that is contributed to principal will increase, and the amount that is contributed to interest will decrease. So that gives us uh, equity in the property. So this equity gain, so to speak, is the third one. So equity gain. So you have appreciation, equity gain, and income. So those are three ways or three reasons why people might invest in real estate. Another one called value gain, which I think is what I said a minute ago, but value gain is actually comes from the skill and the expertise of a property manager to increase the value of the property uh, by the things that they do. Maybe you put a gate on the property, you put a pool on the property, increase the rents, the things that you do, you increase the value. So that's called value gain. So we have appreciation, we have income, we have value gain, and we have equity gain. The last one that they might be looking for is called tax advantage. So they may be looking to pay less tax. Uh, Sometimes investing in real estate is a way to accomplish lessening your tax burden. So we need to understand what those objectives are, and we need to achieve those objectives. Um, Current challenges in the industry, uh, it requires a property manager has to be a very versatile individual. They have to understand many different aspects of the economy and of properties. You find yourself managing residential, industrial, retail, office. So there's a very vast difference uh, in what's asked of the property manager and the types of property that they manage. So they have to be very versatile. Um, Another issue is there's non-standard titles. We tend to call these property managers asset managers now, which is an indication that there would be more types of assets other than just real property. So you might have vehicles, you might have accounts, stock accounts, and things that you might have to manage along with the property. So that's another challenge that we see is that there are no standard titles anymore. Let me briefly tell you how it is that property management came to exist, why we even have this profession. Well, the history goes back to uh, basically a couple of very important things that have happened. The number one is the invent of steel frame buildings. Because we now have steel frame buildings, we can actually build these buildings taller, and we can get higher occupancies and higher densities. Um, Another key to that was electric elevators. It didn't do any good to build these buildings tall and highly occupy these buildings if you didn't have any way to get to those upper floors. So electric elevators was another key. So steel frame buildings and electric elevators were very key to that. Another thing is the diversification, or the population shift, the decentralization from urban cores out to the suburban market. When they started moving out of headquarter buildings and they started having branch locations, we had to have somebody manage the real estate and those assets. So that's another reason that we find it. In Chapter 1, we also define the different types or classifications of property. We have in residential, we break that down into single-family homes, manufactured home parks, multifamily, and then facilities for the aging, those types of special facilities. In commercial, this particular book in Chapter 1 breaks that down into office properties, retail properties, and research parks. It goes on to break down industrial into types of products like heavy manufacturing, light manufacturing, industrial parks, loft buildings, distribution facilities, mini storages, and then something we call enterprise zones. If you're familiar in our market with Oklahoma City, we have a research park down on I-235 near the Capitol that's been quite successful and is a really important part of the economy of Oklahoma City. That would fall into that category. There are some specialized opportunities that Chapter 1 talks about in the way of property management, and those are concierge services. There are lots of services coming out now in more dense environments and highly occupied structures, particularly retail, where people will take care of tasks for the tenants, such as walking their dogs, getting their laundry, getting food for tenants that they want brought in. Lots of concierge services now, a very big thing in particularly larger cities where they have these larger buildings, particularly high-rise buildings. Asset management services, like I said before, it's a changing market, and we're managing even more assets than just real property. So those are some things in Chapter 1 that we talk about as far as roles that one might find themselves in. Some others are economist. You have to have a keen understanding of the economy to be a successful property manager. So we're going to talk about that in this course, the economy, and the involvement that a property manager would get into the community, such as Rotary, Kiwanis clubs, AMBUCs, all kinds of chambers of commerce, those types of things, so that you can pay back or be involved in the community. And then the last one that I would say is the most important thing that we do as property managers is facilitate the owner objectives. That's the most important thing that we can do, is to achieve the objectives of the owners that we're working for. So I'm going to leave it there on Chapter 1. Just take a look at the items in that first module in Chapter 1, and if you have any questions, please let me know as always. Thank you very much.